Yes.
Okay, good. On behalf of the City of Fremont and Habitat for Humanity, East Bay, Silicon Valley, I would like to welcome you to this first-time homebuyer workshop for Central Commons Phase 2. I would also like to introduce to you Leslie Castro, Director of Client Services at Habitat for Humanity, East Bay, Silicon Valley. And here with me also tonight are our City of Fremont housing staff, and Lynn Chen is over there, a housing coordinator, and Margot Juta, a housing technical support. And we all would like to welcome you to this very exciting event, rolling out Central Commons Phase 2. So let's get started. Do you have any questions for us before we delve into the presentation? I would like to note that this presentation will be recorded, and it will be available for you to access in about 2 weeks. If you sign up on our affordable housing interest list, you will get notified when this video will be available. And the best way to sign up is grab one of our handouts that says affordable housing. It looks like this. It looks like this. And then you will know how to sign up for a housing interest list. The link is on there. So make sure you sign up, then you won't miss any information on Central Commons Phase 2. Make sure you sign up on the home buyer interest list, because we have 3. Make sure you sign up on the home buyer interest list. Okay, so let's get into the meat of the presentation. So we're going to talk about 5 major things today. The first thing is just a general overview of Central Commons. And then we will talk about applicant requirements, selection process, resale restrictions, and housing counseling program. So let's move on to Central Commons Phase 2. The Central Commons development is located at 4369 Central Avenue in Fremont, and this is a 30-unit development by Habitat for Humanity's Silicon Valley, East Bay. And we already rolled out Phase 1, which was consist of 11 units, and is already occupied. So this presentation is about Phase 2, which is the 19 units that will be available for purchase in a couple of months. And this development, this 30-unit development, is partially funded by the City of Fremont. So to give you a little bit overview on the unit size, or the bedroom size, I should say, we will have 6 units available, 2-bedroom units, and 8 units that are 3 bedrooms, and 5 units that are 4-bedroom. Oops, sorry, I should go back. So this way. So just to give you an idea of what the 19 units would look like, these are pictures of Phase 1, which is very similar to Phase 2 units. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the presentation over to Leslie Castro, and she will walk you through the remaining of the presentation. Let's welcome Leslie.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the requirements for these 19 homes first. These homes are designated for moderate income home buyers, which is 80 to 120% of the area median income for Alameda County. And the next slide will have like hard dollar figures for those so that you can see that rather than just in a percentage. It is required that you are a first-time home buyer. That means everyone who is going to be on title and in the home cannot have owned a home in the last 3 years. So you can have owned a home in the past, but not in the last 3 years. There are a few exceptions to that. So if you're A displaced homemaker is one of them. Just contact me. You'll get my contact information later, and we can talk through whether you would qualify as a first-time home buyer. There is a required down payment of at least 1% of your purchase price. You can have gift funds for that. So somebody, a friend or a family member can provide that 1% down payment for you. We do need a letter from them as well as evidence that they have those funds in their bank account. We do look at credit, and I'll go into that a little bit more in detail, but we do require a 680 credit score is the minimum score. You have to have at least 3 open lines of credit. Now, if you don't have 3, we do accept alternative credit. So that's a letter from your landlord saying that you've made payments on time for the last 12 months. And like your car insurance provider, different places like that can be alternative credit. We have a 5-year look back for foreclosures and bankruptcies. So they have to have been closed at least 5 years ago. You cannot have any open collections, profits and losses, judgments, or liens on your credit report. And you need to show a history of on-time payments for at least 12 months for all of your open trade accounts. We do have a maximum debt-to-income ratio, and that is 43%. So all of your credit cards, any car loan, anything like that, plus the housing payment that you would have for this home, all has to be less than 43% of your gross household income. And you have to have attended a first-time homebuyer class. Those classes are good for 12 months, so as long as you've gone, at 12 months before you submit the application when that's required, it's fine. You don't have to take it again. If you haven't taken one, there's a selection process handout, and the back page of that has different HUD certified first-time home buyer class providers. They do have to be HUD certified. You can go to somebody that's not on this list, but just make sure that they are HUD certified before you sign up for anyone else. And if you need, we've tried to include whether they're offered in English, Spanish, or other languages with this list that we put together. Okay, here are the income requirements in order to purchase a home. There's a column that shows the minimum income that's required. That's assuming that there's only a 1% down payment. And then there's a maximum income requirement, which is the 120% of area median income. You cannot be even $1 over that amount. And it's based on your household size. So a 2-person household has a much different minimum and maximum than an 8-person household. So you'll need to know your household size and kind of make sure you're in those ranges. If you're not sure whether you're above or below, I really do suggest you go ahead and submit a pre-application anyway. Don't disqualify yourself by, assuming that your income doesn't meet the requirements. Especially if you're not sure, if you're, say, a 2-person household and you think you might make $78,000 even, go ahead and submit your document so we can actually look at it and see for you. And this is income for everyone in the household 18 and over, not just the people on title. So somebody who's 16 and earning income, we don't look at it, but somebody that's 18 and earning income, it's included. Okay. So there's a 2-step process for this. One is pre-application and then a full application. So pre-application requires a lot less documentation, but the income documentation we're looking at here is if you make it to the full application process. So if you're employed, we need 3 months of pay stubs in order to calculate your income. If you're self-employed, we're going to need 3 years of tax returns plus a 3-month profit and loss statement that you can put together yourself and send to us. If you are receiving Social Security or disability benefits, we need the current benefit letters. So if you have Social Security and you got your letter in November and you tossed it or you didn't get it, you can go ahead and start requesting copies of those documents just so that you have them in case you are able to submit a full application. For child support and alimony, we require a divorce decree and evidence that payments are actually being made. We have to have both of those things. And then often we will actually send what's called a VOE, or verification of employment, to your employer directly, where there's a form that they complete that has information for us, such as how many hours you normally work, what your salary was for this year and last year, and things like that. And then also, if you're retired and you're getting a pension or annuity, we treat it like the Social Security or disability, and we do require a benefit letter for that to show the monthly amount. Okay. So occupancy requirements. These are 2 to 4 bedroom homes. And so we are looking at anywhere from 2 to 9 person households. So the minimum is 2 and the maximum is 9. 9 is for the 4 bedroom because we look at a maximum of 2 people per bedroom plus 1, which is just a HUD standard or guideline. Household members need to have lived together for at least 6 months in order to be considered a household. You can show that by a custody agreement if you're divorced and it's a child, them being on your tax returns. If it's somebody 18 or over, like a brother or a sister, we just want to see a bill in their name that's been there for at least 6 months, just so that we know that you are actually a household that has lived together. There are some exceptions to that. We will look at exceptions on a case-by-case basis. So if, say, your parents just moved from another country 4 months ago and you can show us that they've lived there with you since they've moved here, we would lower that 6-month requirement. If you have a baby and they're only 3 months old, we don't require that they have lived with you for 6 months. We do look at current household members, not future household members. So even though you might be a couple who wants to have 5 kids in the future, if you're just a couple, we don't look at how many children you might have. If you are thinking about moving in with people in the future, that's fine, but we are selecting for the household that you have now. Our policy, occupancy size policy, so we look at your household and we determine whether you qualify for a 2, 3, or 4 bedroom home. It's generally domestic partners, husband and wife, they share a room, and 2 people per bedroom otherwise, unless they're opposite sex. So a son and a daughter get separate rooms, 2 daughters have to share a room, or they're different generations. So a mother and a child, even if it's a daughter, they get separate rooms. So that's kind of how we look at those things. With most policies, there are exceptions. So if you have the need for a full-time live-in caretaker and you're a 1-person household, you can still qualify. I would say that what you need to do is, when you submit your pre-application, include a letter that lets us know that. Otherwise, we're going to not consider it because it doesn't meet our guidelines. And then here's just a quick overview of the selection process itself. We're starting with the pre-application phase. It will be open till March 31, 2020 at 5 p.m. We have to have received the documents by then. This determines your eligibility to enter the lottery. We're going to look at just your most recent federal tax return. Obviously, 2019 is better for us, but if you haven't filed yet, we would want the 2018 tax return. We want the whole tax return, just federal, with your W-2s and 1099s. We'll need photo IDs for household members and proof of U.S. residency. So that's a current passport or a U.S. birth certificate, or a permanent resident card. Everything needs to be current, though, for that.
Photocopies?
Photocopies. Yeah. And we don't make copies, so yeah, don't send us originals, especially of passports. The city is considering a live and or work preference right now, so we're moving forward as if there will be one. And there's a list of documentation that if you do live and or work in the city of Fremont, you provide that documentation so we can verify it. And that is also on this, the list of documents is also on the selection process handout, as well as the first page of the pre-application. For the lottery, applicants who have been pre-approved at the pre-application phase. So we've just taken a quick look at your income, your U.S. residency, things like that, and we say, yes, it looks like you might qualify for this home. We will hold a lottery. So everyone will be randomly prioritized in there so that we will look at people in order. We will probably look at people in groups of 50. So we'll prioritize in groups of 50 and then look at each one of those. But we're still working out the specifics exactly on that. And once we do have that, we'll let you know more about it. And then finally, the people who have made it to the lottery can submit a full application. That's where we do the income and credit review that's more in depth. We're going to ask for more documents. We also ask for 3 months of bank statements and the donor gift fund letter. We also want to go ahead and see a loan approval letter from your first lender showing that you can get a loan for the amount of the home. And you have to provide the 8-hour first-time homebuyer class completion certificate. So, you know, honestly, I would go ahead and start working on that first-time homebuyer class and the loan approval letter earlier rather than later so that you have it when we get to that point. And on all of this, for the pre-application and the full application, it's really important that you read. They're both going to have like a first page like this that you get to keep. And it's going to have, you know, fill out the form and submit it with all of these required documentations, all the required documents. It's really important that you read those, you read them carefully, you submit absolutely everything we're asking for, and if you have a question or you're not sure, you call me so we can talk about it and you submit the right thing. Because especially during the pre-application phase, if you haven't provided anything on this list, you're not going to be considered at all. We're not going to we don't have time to go back and forth and say, oh, but you didn't provide this photo ID. Can you send it now? So we're asking you to be really responsible to get everything that we've asked for and the form filled out completely with all the information. But I am available to answer questions while you're doing that. And the same will be true for the full application. I will be available to help. So for the households who are selected and do purchase the home, there are resale restrictions on these homes. They are affordable housing. And so it's a 45-year term. So for 45 years, your home is restricted and you cannot sell it at market. It requires that the home be owner occupied. You cannot rent the home. You have to actually live there. Now we understand households change. Maybe one person moves out or somebody moves in. We just ask that you let us know that that's happening. So long as the people who do own the home continue to live there, that's fine. Children go to college. We understand that. There's a maximum restricted resale price that we calculate at the time you want to sell the home. You can sell the home, you just can't sell it at market. So there's a restricted price so that the home remains affordable to moderate income buyers. If you do want to refinance your first mortgage or get a new loan, an equity line of credit, you have to come to Habitat in the city to get approval. We have to look at it and make sure that it's not going to put you in a position where you might lose your home in the future. And if you do want to sell the home, you have to first offer it to both Habitat and the city of Fremont to buy back first. What we want to do is, if we are able to, we want to buy that home from you at the restricted price so that we can then sell it to another moderate income home buyer and keep it in the affordable market. If we don't decide to buy it back, you're still required to sell it to a moderate income home buyer. You still cannot sell it at market, but we would work with you on that. Your spouse can inherit the home. Your children cannot unless they qualify, unless they are also moderate income and will live in the home. So, and even if they don't qualify, they have a year before they have to move out after they inherit the home. Okay. And during the 45 years, we will recertify that you actually are living in the home. So you have to complete an annual affidavit ownership form. It's required every year, probably around the same time every year. And you also have to provide with that form a current PG&E bill that shows your name and the property address, as well as the current homeowner's insurance policy. First page only, not the whole thing. And if you don't provide this form, you can be considered in default and you may lose the home. So just know that every year you're going to get this and you need to take it seriously and fill it out. Okay. Some expectations we have. For questions, contact the person listed on the application by phone or by making an appointment, or email, it's fine. That's me. And you'll see my information over and over again. Meet the deadlines for requested information. There are absolutely no extensions. So like the pre-application says has to be received no later than March 31. We mean it needs to be in our hands March 31, not in the post office hands, things like that. Provide everything requested, including that's included on the cover page of the pre-application, and with the checklist for the application, the full application if you get to that point. Okay. Okay. And then just to let you know, on the housing counseling program, we talked about some credit requirements that we have, and the debt to income can't be more than 43%. If you think you don't qualify, Habitat does have a HUD certified housing counseling program. We have an office in Milpitas and an office in Oakland. They can provide one-on-one counseling. It's completely optional, but if you think there might be issues that would prevent you from qualifying for these homes, you can go ahead and start working on those with them. And then we also have financial education workshops throughout the area. Those are optional. You don't have to go to any of those for this program, but they just kind of give you some information. And we provide, as well as a lot of other people provide, the 8-hour first-time homebuyer workshop. That is required. That's the mandatory one. So you're going to spend one of your Saturdays or a lot of weeknights, but you're going to get to that 8 hours. You're going to get the certificate for us for that in order to qualify for the homes. And just in general, we've got the HUD website that shows a lot of different HUD certified housing counselors out there if you do want to meet with somebody to talk about credit or budgeting, or even whether it makes sense for you to even try and buy one of these homes. And that is it. That's my contact information. And does anybody have questions?
I have a question. What if it's a single person wanting to purchase? Does it have to be 2 or more?
So if there's a single person that wants to purchase, they would not qualify to purchase one of these homes unless they have meet an exception that we look at case by case. So if they require a live-in caretaker is the most common that we see. They have a medical need. Yeah.
Question?
Okay.
So you mentioned phase 2. How many phases will there be altogether?
Okay. So how many phases at Central Commons will there be? There are only 2 phases. So after these homes are sold, we don't have any more homes at this development.
I have another question. So you talked about the lottery for the pre-approval process. So to get into that lottery, how does that work? Is it just a random draw, or is there a discussion on who you're going to be picked? How does the lottery pool work?
So who gets into the lottery? Is that what we're asking?
So once you get into the lottery, how does that work? How does the picking process work?
So for the lottery, what will happen is everyone's name will be on an Excel spreadsheet, basically, and it may change a little bit if there is a preference at the end, but we will have this sheet, and we have a program where we push a button and it randomly prioritizes the entire list.
there's a couple questions, I'm not sure who you're calling.
Oh, go ahead.
So that 8-hour mandatory workshop, is that for people who? So the 8-hour workshop, is that only for people who have been selected, or is that for everybody in the process?
So who has to take the 8-hour first-time homebuyer workshop? It is only for the people who are submitting a full application. So you do not need to take that for the pre-application phase, but if you are selected to move forward for the full application phase, you will need it.
I have 2 questions. Suppose you make it into the lottery and you're picked. How will you communicate? Is it by phone, via email? That information, if you're picked, how much time do we have to provide the full application?
Okay, so if you are picked, the first question is how will we communicate with those applicants? They will receive both an email and a letter in U.S. mail. We will also try, depending on, what else is going on at the office, to call them directly and let them know. But most likely it'll just be email and U.S. mail. We generally give, for how long people will have to submit their documents for the full application, we generally give about 3 weeks for people to pull together those documents and get them to us. So that, yeah. Yes?
What if we make more money in the future and we're not meeting
Oh.
income? Would
Okay.
be certifying that?
That's a really good question. So what if you start making more money in the future? The short answer is, good for you, we don't care. Once you buy this house, you own it. So you can win the lottery, you can get a raise twice what you're making right now, and you get to keep living in the home. Yeah. Okay, you were in the back.
What if you purchase the house and it's just a smaller family and then your family grows? What would happen?
Okay, so if you purchase the house and then your family outgrows it, what would happen is you would contact me or the city and let us know that you want to sell the home. Because at that point, you would need to probably, I'm assuming you would want to move into a different home. And we would go through the process outlined in the resale restriction for deciding whether Habitat or the city wants to buy it back, or if you'll need to find a buyer that meets the requirements. And then, yes?
Yeah, about the income, is the lowest is 78,000, right? Is that per person or altogether?
It's by household size. So the chart, it has a house, let me go back to it. So household size is the first column. So 2-person is a 78,850 to 107,232. And then a 3-person household has different numbers. So it's based on how many people are in the household. And the chart is on, I think, a frequently asked questions document that we have. You guys emailed it out, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you allowed to do like repairs to the house? I mean, like change it up, like painting?
So this is a condo, and there's an HOA. So you are responsible for what's called walls in. You can't do a lot of changes without HOA consent. You can paint it whatever color you want on the inside, but you can't knock out walls and things like that. I don't know who was first. Okay.
For example, currently I'm living with my in-laws at my council, but I've been there for the past year. But then again, the utility bills are in my name. How
Mhm.
would I get like proof of residency?
To
Cell phone or doctor bill or something like that?
okay, so you're asking how to show proof of residency for Fremont or for
Just for
the household? Okay, to show that you are all a household.
Yeah.
I would contact me probably with specific questions about that. But generally, I mean, we prefer things like you're on the lease or you've got a car insurance bill or utility bill. But if you have a Netflix bill that shows that that's your name and you've been getting it at that address for 6 months, we may take that. I mean, we work with people. We're certainly not trying to prevent people from applying, so we have accepted things like that in the past, like just Netflix. I think we have accepted Netflix in the past. And there was, okay.
So the bottom line for the pre-application when it's due is March 31st in your hands. And then how much time between the pre-application and the lottery is there? I'm wondering what the time frame is between the pre-application and the lottery.
So the question is, what is the time frame between the March 31st deadline for the pre-application and then the actual lottery? Ideally, I want to have the lottery in mid-April, just a few weeks after. It may be later than that. It really depends on how many pre-applications we receive. But everyone will be notified of the date once we have it set.
Thank you. And I have a second question, which is also related. So when the lottery is drawn, so we go to the bank for the loan, how do we get that? How do we sign up for a loan if after the pre-application? Are you kind of understanding my question?
Yes, so the question is, how do you go and get the loan approval letter after the pre-application but before you've been selected to actually purchase the home? Is that correct?
So my question is so if I would want to get it now, so if I were to be picked for the lottery or whatnot, so I'm not sure what would be best to wait until before the lottery or after.
Oh, so is it better to go ahead and get your loan approval now or after the lottery? I would probably start working on it at least a little bit before the lottery, just to give you time. And it really depends on whether you think there might be issues you have to work through in order to get that loan approval.
Okay, thank you. So when will you announce the lottery results to everyone who applied?
So will we announce the lottery's results to everyone who applied? We will announce the lottery results to everyone who participated in the lottery. So if you submit a pre-application, you will get a letter from us that you will be in the lottery or that you did not qualify to be in the lottery. And then after that, when the lottery's done, we'll just send information to the people in the lottery.
Okay. How many people will you pick for the lottery?
So from the lottery, we're still working through how we will do the lottery, but right now we're looking at picking at least 3 groups of 50 each. So we'll have group A with 50 people who will move through the process first, and then group B with 50 people if the homes are not filled by group A, and then keep going down until all 19 homes have been selected. But once we finalize everything on the lottery, we'll send out more information about it. Yes?
Do you, for the pre-application, do you look at it as they come in or until March 31st?
Yeah, like
April 1st?
April 2nd, sometime after that point, once the deadline has hit, then we're going to look at everyone at the same time. So.
Okay, thank you. Are there any pet restrictions?
There are pet restrictions. I cannot remember them off the top of my head. I think you can have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 1 dog or 1 cat, things like that. But there's no breed restrictions for this property. We do have a pet policy that includes a way for a dangerous dog, if they've bitten, if they've shown aggression and stuff, they can't be a part of the community, but we don't have a specific breed restriction for this property. Okay.
There will be HOAs.
Oh, there's an HOA, yes. And you will have HOA dues, and they will seem very high to you, but they're there for a reason, and they are included in your housing cost when we came up with the purchase price. So, yes.
So the cost, for the HUD cost, you said has an expiration date after a year. Is the approval letter for the loan the same? Is there an expiration on that?
I think the lender would decide if there's an expiration on that, but no, I don't. I mean, we probably wouldn't take one from 4 years ago, but yeah.
So is there any number about the area of the unit? How big is the unit for 2-bedroom and how big for 2 bedroom?
So the question is the square footage for, I do not know that off the top of my head. I think it is on our website, Habitat's website, when it talks about Central Commons. But again, you have my contact information, so you can just email me, and I can look it up and email you back on that. Yeah.
So you said household members have to have lived together for 6 months. So what if, for example, they left for college or left for work for that short amount of time? Are you looking at the most recent 6 months?
Yes.
Okay, so technically if they went to college and came back, they wouldn't.
That is, okay, so if somebody has gone to college or had to go work remotely for a while somewhere else and has come back and it's been less than 6 months since they've come back, what I would do is include them in the household if they are part of your household, explain why they were there less than 6 months, and we can look at it. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh.
I'm thinking about, I know about the rental, I understand that, but if something comes up and something changes, my family member or whoever I'm living with passes away, or if I get a divorce or what have you, so me as the homeowner, am I able to rent out the 2nd bedroom, but I'm still living there? Is that a possibility or no?
So the question is can you rent out just part of the house? And generally the answer to that is no. You cannot rent out any part of the house, even a 2nd bedroom. If you have a hardship and need it, I would definitely contact Habitat in the city to see if we could approve it. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
So California Department of Housing and Community Development, specifically people with disabilities, have funds. Does California have these funds to support people with disabilities, with HUD and all this with these housing? Is there anything like that? Are you aware of?
So the question for these homes specifically is are there any funds to help with people with disabilities? We do not have any funds specifically for these homes.
So what we were looking at says something called HOPE, H-O-P-E, and it's related to Section 8.
Mm-hmm.
And, fund, California state funds. So, some people have low income, some people have more income. So just looking at specifically like California School for the Deaf here in Fremont, where most of us work, the income is much lower than other teachers in the Fremont area. So I'm just wondering if there's any California state funds for that.
So California state funds such as HOPE, we don't have that. We're not doing that. That doesn't mean you can't work with them directly to get those kind of funds for the purchase. Yeah. And then one other thing based on that question as far as your loans, you're going to need your first lender loan. The city of Fremont is actually, there's a loan on all the property to help with these from the city of Fremont too. I think it's $17,600 or so per home. But you also will want to look at other possible down payment assistance loan programs. There's the Alameda County had the bond issue recently, and they have a down payment assistance program that's operated through Hello Housing. So that's definitely something you want to look at. It can be up to, I think, $100,000 or $150,000. I meant to bring materials, but I forgot. But
We can put it up on our website.
But we'll put it up on the website. And then also, you know, there are other people out there who might have some down payment assistance programs. So just want you to be aware to look out for that. But it's definitely something to look into. Okay, and now, oh wait, one more.
When, or, I don't know if we already have the listing prices, or when will we know what that listing price is?
We have ranges right now. The different homes have different prices attached to them. And I know I've sent those to the city, but we can get those. It's on the frequently asked questions, yeah.
Yeah, we have the range, but we don't have the.
Right, because the way this works is, you know, the 2 bedrooms, there might be 4 different sales prices, and it depends on your income and everything. So we can get out exact at some point, but right now we just have the range.
So it's going to be different person by person, right?
It will be different home by home. So each home has either different HOA due amounts, which will change the sales price, and some of them have a different income band. So some homes are, these are generally 80 to 120% of area median income, but some homes are specifically for 80 to 100%, and some homes are specifically for 100 to 120%. So they have different sales prices with them. So,
You need this?
oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, any more questions? Okay. We have somebody from First Republic Bank, Sean, who's going to talk about a loan program they have that helps moderate income homebuyers. And anyone who qualifies through it and purchases one of these homes will have a set interest rate, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure, go for it.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
So, thank you, Leslie, for introducing Sean
So,
from First Republic. I just want to note that since Sean First Republic's been working with Habitat for Humanity, that's why Leslie invited Sean to come along, because he is well versed in this Habitat for Humanity first-time homebuyers program. I just want to let you know that it is in no way that the city is endorsing First Republic. In fact, we do have a list of our other preferred lenders, and you can pick up a sheet over there that you can get to contact them. Their contact information is on there. But I just want to let you know that you are free to approach any lender as you wish.
yes.
Thank you.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the time. And as I understand it, I think I'm the last to speak tonight, which means I'm standing between you and dinner. So I'm going to try and hit the high notes and just give you what's important. So I'm Sean Fitzgerald. I'm with First Republic Bank. I'm a community outreach relationship manager specifically focused on low to moderate income housing program loans. So very unique in the space. Other lenders do specialize in it. A lot of lenders, though, will do market rate and low income. I do exclusively low income. I've been doing it for about 3 years in the Bay Area, and I'm partnered with all of the major housing programs. And we're also partnered with many of the Bay Area down payment assistance programs. So I'm well versed in how to utilize those for your purchase. I wanted to share quickly our program, and then give you some notes on down payment grants, and then I'll be available to answer questions at the end. But I definitely want to encourage that when you're going through this process that you do shop the lender. So you should go out and talk to a couple and find out which one works best for you. We are not going to fit everyone's needs, but we do fit a big swath of people do find our program to fit really nicely for them. We keep it simple. If you're approved in our program, it's a 30-year fixed loan at 3.15%. And what's important to understand about that rate is you always should ask the lender the rate and the APR. APR will be the rate that includes all of your closing costs. So they may quote you a rate that's 3.15, and then later the rate will be 3.25, and you'll wonder, how did you get to that difference? That's the closing costs that they're factoring into the rate. So be sure to ask the difference between the rate and the APR. The bank, First Republic, we cover all of the non-recurring closing costs for the transaction up to $7,000, which for most purchases covers all of the non-recurring closing costs. So it's pretty significant. So most often our rate ends up being the same as our APR, meaning we cover the closing costs. You're still responsible for things like taxes and insurance, HOA dues, and any costs associated with the program. But the actual processing costs to the bank, the appraisal, the title, the notary, all of these $20 and $30 kind of charges that you'll see, those will be included in that non-recurring waiver. So pretty comprehensive, very low 30-year rate. There's no points. And the rate does not have fees wrapped into it. So it's actually the lender-paid closing costs. I'm part of a 4-person team, and we sit out of San Francisco. And we process all of our applications via digital application or by phone. If you do want to meet in person, we can arrange to do so. We do also offer Pictel or web meetings. So if you would prefer to do it where we can see each other visually, we have those capabilities. So that may work well for those who need an interpreter or someone visual, so we have those capabilities. Our current loan program is up to 90% financing. However, based on this new partnership, we're actually working on going to 95% to help accommodate those in this program for Habitat to Humanity. And that extra 5% would then come from your own funds, from gift funds, or from down payment assistance. AC Boost is the Alameda program through Hello Housing. I'm an approved lender with them. WISH is a workforce initiative subsidized housing grant that you can apply for. That's up to $22,000 in a forgivable grant, $1 to $4 matching, and we're also an approved lender offering those funds for houses that have less than 80% area median income. So I'm going to stop there. There's a lot I could go into. I just want to make myself available to answer any questions after this meeting. I have a flyer for our rate and term program. If you want to schedule an appointment with myself or someone on my team to get the pre-approval process started, I do recommend it early. As you can imagine, if we get 50 to 100 people applying, it can take some time to talk to everyone. We do like to have an initial phone call and do an application. So we'll be available to do that, and happy to be here to answer questions for you after. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you.
So Lynn just corrected me. I just want to let you know that for the loan approval, you should go to either First Republic or the ones listed on our preferred lenders list, because all of the preferred lenders, they are well-versed in our first-time home buyer program. So we do prefer that you stick with our preferred lenders or First Republic for Habitat home purchase. Are there any more questions? We can certainly stick around and answer one-on-one questions. Yes?
One question. All of the households that miss the opportunity of being the first-time buyer after they buy this kind of house, and then after that, then, for example, me and my wife, we can buy it, and later on my wife wants to buy another house, you can use the first-time buyer opportunity for the other house too, or not?
I'm not. So the question is if you buy the house with your brother?
With my wife.
With your wife?
Yes.
And you're both on title?
Just my name is under the title. Then, you know, we have some, we can use some benefits for being a first-time buyer, right? And then my wife decides to buy another place. Can she use the benefits of being a first-time buyer for the next one, or no? It's going to be...
Well, I can't answer that because that's a question about somebody else's program in the future. So, yeah.
One last reminder, please fill out the yellow evaluation sheet. It will greatly help us to improve on our next workshop. So I appreciate your help. Okay, well, thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.